There are some daughters of narcissistic mothers who find it can be a little frustrating to maintain a dysfunctional relationship with her mother, who may have narcissistic tendencies that are over the top. The good daughter complex is more common than some might think. Narcissistic moms often methodically applies each of her masks, like her headdresses, her accessories, and cosmetics. The masks of some narcissistic moms are polished, snatched, and pulled together to perfection. Unfortunately, this can be very painful for her adult child or children. Some of you have realized that narcissistic mom has flipped the script and rewrote the script only to stick to a narrative that pleases her and conveniences her. When narcissistic mom sticks to a narrative about her daughter that does not reflect reality, this creates not only a parallel reality in the relationship, but a false image of her daughter. This false narrative, which only suits narcissistic moms, can be a vicious aspect of the narcissistic abuse cycle because it helps narcissistic moms to remain loyal to their false self-images, ranging from a saint, a martyr, and a victim who views her daughter as a problem instead of a gift. Further, narcissistic moms tend to stick to this narrative or script to the point that sometimes they spend time and energy attempting to gaslight her daughter and others into believing her narrative. It is as if narcissistic moms must believe that their own daughter is her failure, her tragedy, or burden, which tends to be the story that they stick to. As a result, there may be many daughters who are realizing that being good to narcissistic mom just is not good enough. To all daughters of narcissistic moms, be sure to celebrate the mom in yourself and realize that you are not responsible for your mother's emotional well-being. Secondly, love, respect, and accept mom for who she is, but by all means, stay clear of her drama, crisis, and karma. Lastly, each mask of narcissistic mom often conceals the pain, insecurities, and falsehood that eventually begins to make it crack and slip off. So therefore, keep thriving forward. And hello, everyone. This is Cassandra. I want to welcome everyone to the Luminous Star channel.
Just a few things a person can do.
We're going to be, let me just pause this for a second. I want to thank everyone for joining me for this live stream. And please put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me, and a 2 if you cannot. It's going to probably, I noticed some other people doing lives today. They were catching a lot of, issues. So we're going to try to get through this, all right? But I want to thank everyone for joining me today and tonight, and wherever you may be, I hope you are doing well. All right, again, please put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me, and a 2 if you cannot. All right, so let's go ahead and continue.
If they're feeling lost in the narcissistic relationship with mom, first, challenge yourself to make choices that bring about necessary change. There are some changes that are definitely needed when having a relationship with a narcissistic mom. such as remaining focused on thriving forward. Next, I want you to keep a daily vlog of your meal ideas and habits. Why? Because food really is mood. Next, I want to go ahead and challenge you to begin to give yourself a gift that just keeps on giving, or give yourself several gifts, such as starting to say no when you really mean it. Don't, don't say yes to narcissistic mom if you really mean no. Don't worry, you're not hurting her as much as you think. I want to go ahead and give you guys a few book suggestions. Now, I've read all three of these books I'm about to share with you guys. Okay, now the first one is a book authored by myself, Break Free from Narcissistic Codependent Relationships. Now, there are 5 strategic steps to break the habit of narcissistic codependent relationships. Book number 2, The Quality of Silence. Book number 3 is Your Body Trying to Tell You Something.
Okay, I'm going to pause it right here. And I want to thank you guys again. Envy, thank you for your comment. Andrea, thank you. And you guys, welcome to the live stream. And hopefully, we're going to get some more people coming on here. I'm probably going to be on for about an hour or so. So I hope you guys are relaxed and maybe you have some snacks and everything. But again, I want to thank you guys for joining me today. Let's see. I'm going to be talking about, of course, as you can see, the good daughter complex and mommy dearest issues, but I'm really going to be zeroing in on the relationship issues that she can have. Okay. So don't forget to post comments. And of course, I will try to put some time aside for the question and answer. All right. Let's go. Neural pathways to narcissistic mothers can keep daughters bound. I wanted to just share one tool with you guys, and that is to study neural pathways. This way, you guys can start to learn how to rewire your brain. Now, the reason why I say that, it may sound a little funny when I say it. Rewire your brain, right? Some people don't even believe that this is possible, but I say don't knock it until you try it. This goes right into practicing mindfulness. Now, a lot of you who have been watching me, you have noticed that that is one of my main tools, and that is to practice mindfulness. This is correlated to it. That is learning about neurons, the neural pathways, right? So I'm going to read for you guys first what a neural pathway is. Okay, and then I'm going to go into just a few other things, but that is the one tool that I'm going to be sharing with you guys today, and that is to study neural pathways. Mothers having having children, right? And perhaps their communication style is that they will send mixed signals. The children may grow up and ask, oh, well, does mommy love me, or does mommy not? Okay, does she love me or does she not? Same thing with the narcissistic father. Their children may grow up asking, well, does my father love me or not? Okay, but the neural pathways, I say, is one of the culprits of keeping us either attracted to narcissist relationships or having us being a target of okay, or uh, you don't have to agree with me, but for some reason, a lot of us who have had narcissist relationships, we are either, because we're familiar with it, right? Either we are either seeking it out unconsciously, or we are attracting these narcissist relationships unconsciously. So the neural pathways, again, is a correlation. Now let's look at what what a neural pathway is. In brief, a neural pathway is a series of connected neurons that send signals from one part of the brain to the other. These connected neurons process the information we receive. It is these that enable us to interact as well as experience emotions and sensations. Hi guys, I noticed some of your comments. You're saying that the sound on your end is sounding a little choppy or a little broken up. Is that right? Put a 1 in the chat if it sounds a little funny to you on your end, and put a 2 if the sound is coming through very clearly. Okay, yeah, because I've noticed that some people who have been having lives streaming lately, they have been having some issues with the sound. So I don't know if that's what it is, but the sound is coming through clearly on my end. Okay, so okay, let's go ahead and continue, all right? Anybody else? The sound not coming through? Yeah. Okay. Ellie says 1, Andrea is 1. Okay, yeah, because I've noticed that there have been some issues with a few people who have been having live streams lately, and they have been having issues with the sound. So I don't know if there's just something causing that, or I don't know. But we're going to go ahead and get through this. Okay, I'm just glad that you guys are here. And I don't know if it keeps up, then we're probably going to have to cut it short. Okay, you can hear me. Andrea says she can hear me. Envy says that they can hear me. Ellie, can you hear me? We're going to go ahead and continue, guys, okay? All right. They create our memories and enable us to learn. Okay, so when we're having narcissist relationships, are we not learning something? Do we not have memories of these, right? Are we not receiving as well as sending out signals? Are we not engaged in communication styles with narcissists, whether it's mother, father, grandparents, uncle, aunt, whoever it is, right? Are we not receiving and sending out signals? Are we not engaged in communication? Yeah, we are. So the body is recording all of it. The body remembers. Even when we want to consciously forget, even when we try to, all the maladaptive coping skills that we may have, from drinking to smoking to maybe eating too much or not eating enough, addictions, whatever, right? Jumping from one narcissistic relationship to another. All these are maladaptive coping skills. But what's going on? That's our attempt to forget what's painful. But guess what? The body remembers and the body records. So this is where your neural pathways come in. Again, we're talking about the neurons here, connected neurons. But let me go down further here. There's something else that I wanted to share with you guys. Can you create new neural pathways? Yes, you really can rewire. Keep that word in mind, rewire. You can rewire your brain for optimal performance at work and at home. Every time the brain processes new information, neurons fire, new pathways form, and the malleable brain alters its shape and structure. So imagine a child growing up in the household that has narcissistic parents. It's the child's brain is altering its shape and structure. This is why some children end up under arrested development well after the age of 25 as a result of having narcissist relationships with the parents, grandparents, family members, right? It is at the age of 25 that, I know a lot of people know this already, but I'm just putting it out there. Some people think, about the age of 18, you stop growing, but no, it's 25, you stop developing. And this includes, your brain, right? Okay. There was something else that I wanted to point out. Yes. What are the neural pathways in the brain called? Neural pathways are groups of nerve fibers which carry information between the various parts of the CNS. CNS stands for Central Nervous System. Neural pathways that connect to CNS and spinal cord are called tracks. Ascending tracks run from the spinal cord to the brain, while descending tracks run from the brain to the spinal cord. So what comes to my mind when I read this is for instance, the spinal cord is like an elevator that goes up and down. The tracks are like the people who get on the elevator with information, right? So that information we're receiving and we are sending out information, or we're sharing information with those that we're having narcissist relationships with, for instance. Again, all the time. You can also include in that the energy transferences, which is involuntary. Whenever we're engaged with anyone, information is being exchanged and shared. Signals, communication styles are being shared and exchanged and learned. Okay, so the narcissistic mothers, for instance, who are sending out mixed messages to their children, or we can just break it down to daughters. For those of you who have narcissistic moms, okay, you daughters out there, maybe you have had these mixed signals. Your mother may be communicating in a particular way, whereas it has you questioning, does she love you or not? And you may be well past the age of 18 right now. Okay, you're fully grown, right? So, for instance, these tracks are the information. So the spinal cord is the elevator. So whenever we are interacting with mom or anyone else for that matter, whether the relationship is narcissistic or not, we are engaged in something involuntary called energy transferences. Again, information, signals, communication styles, all of this is going on. So the body is recording all of it. So this is why sometimes we repeatedly think of the narcissist. We want to turn it off, but it's a little bit difficult. Perhaps we're having flashbacks, complex PTSD symptoms, right? All of these things. So this is why I want you guys to look at the neural pathways. So this way you can also learn, if you want, to start practicing rewiring the way you're thinking about the narcissist relationship. Recently, I did a podcast, whereas I'm going into detail about, as far as I'm concerned, one of the things, guys, that I found out is that it is not what I think about the narcissist relationship. It is about how I think of it. Okay, guys, what do you think about that? About rewiring the brain? Some people don't even think this is possible. What do you guys think? Do you think it's possible, like after you have a narcissistic relationship, that you can actually rewire your brain? In other words, how you think about something? What do you guys think? Do you think that it's more difficult for people to see a brand new way of looking at relationships, period? I mean, in a positive way, after they have narcissistic relationships? Or do you think it's more difficult for a person to feel good about having relationships at all, whether they're good or bad? You know, I heard some people just say they didn't want to have relationships at all after having the narcissist relationship. So Andrea says it's impossible. Okay, so, well, Andrea, I think, to kind of piggyback off of what you're saying, right? It's impossible. I think that from my experience, I think that people feel like it's impossible after they have those experiences with a narcissist. I think that they feel like that is impossible, but I don't think it's impossible. I can say I'm speaking for myself, and I can say that it's not impossible, right? Oh, I'm sorry, it's possible. Pardon me, Andrea. Okay, pardon me. Okay, so yes, it is possible. Yes, yes, yes. All right. So Andrea says, I've done it for a long time with subliminal videos. Okay, okay. No, I mean possible. Okay. And Ellie Wynn says yes. Yeah, it takes work. Envy says yes. Yeah, it does. And it does, it takes work. But when it comes down to the subconscious mind, what I have found is that you have to rewire the brain. You have to delete that program. And it's like you have to get another program. Because most of us, when we're children, well, no, all of us, when we're children, there are programs that are downloaded into the subconscious mind. Okay, and so we start to behave a certain way. And then when we're around, family, of course, we're going to start adopting certain behaviors. But when the narcissist happens to be mom, well, that goes double, right? It's like she's downloading certain programs into the subconscious mind of her daughter. And this is also how the daughter can end up adopting certain behavior patterns and even thought patterns. And even to the point where she has this complex, the good daughter complex. Okay, there is actually such a thing. The good daughter complex. And this is often something that's going to work against the good daughter. And that is some of those behavior patterns and some of those thought patterns that she may develop due to having experiences with her own mother. And then, the mixed signals sometimes mothers give out. With a narcissistic mother, she may give out mixed signals, whereas the good daughter may question, is she loved? Right? All right, Andrew is laughing. And Ellie says, I was glad no relationship 8 years plus now. Okay, so you went without. Okay, got it. Yeah, so sometimes narcissistic moms, they will give off mixed signals, whereas the good daughter will question, is she even loved, cared for, or what in the hell does narcissistic mom really want, right? Other than sometimes the obvious, like money, power, sex, rock and roll, or whatever, right? Everything that's going to fulfill the flesh instead of having things that may fulfill her emotionally or spiritually or what have you. And sometimes the daughters who have the good daughter complex, sometimes what happens is they get lost in the sauce of that relationship with narcissistic mom. Why? Because she has all of these mixed signals. She doesn't know who mom is. She doesn't know what her mom wants from her. So it's just, it's a big deal. It can be a big mess, and there can be a lot of drama that comes with that. So Envy says, yes, it is possible, plastic. Okay, I'm just reading some of your comments here. Crazy making. Yeah, I touch on that too in some of the videos, Envy. The crazy making. That's part of the mixed signals there, which can lead the good daughter who has that type of complex, right? The complex that the good daughter has really boils down to this. She's trying to please narcissistic mom. So she's doing something that may seem impossible to her, right? And this goes all the way into her adulthood. And she's well past the 18, right? Well past it. She might be 40. And she's still trying to please narcissistic mom. That's really what the good daughter complex is about. I mean, there's some other things too, but she's just picture a little girl reaching for her mommy, right? And her mommy is standing there, arms folded, with a stern look. But the little girl is reaching for her mom. She wants mommy. So that, in a nutshell, is what the good daughter complex also consists of. Always reaching for mommy, but never quite reaching mommy. It's kind of sad though, but this is what the daughter often ends up doing, and it spills over to her other relationships. Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and continue this segment right here. I may even forward some of this. There was something else I wanted to show you guys, but okay, let's go. So it's not what I think, it's how I think. This goes into the behavioral patterns as well as the thought patterns when it comes to the narcissist relationship. And this doesn't exclude those daughters who having narcissistic moms and having the narcissistic relationship with her. And the daughter may seem like, I'm trapped. I can't get out of this. How do I stop thinking of mom? How do I stop trying to please her? How do I stop feeling guilty? All these things. This is why I want you to look at the neural pathways, because I think the neural pathways is one of the main culprits that keep a daughter stuck in relationships with narcissistic moms, for instance. Sons being stuck in narcissistic relationships with not only mothers, but fathers. And okay, also the daughters being stuck in relationships with narcissistic fathers. Just period. Narcissistic relationships, right? Being stuck in those relationships. Neural pathways is something that a lot of people are overlooking. Not everyone, but I think, some people are overlooking this, because this is one of the true culprits, I think, that's keeping people stuck in the sunken place of narcissist relationships. You ever heard that saying, they're getting on my nerves? Perhaps you said this, right? They're getting on my nerves. Guess what? That's actually, it's an expression, right? But it's more accurate than you think. Let me show you guys something. A dendrite. An overview of a dendrite. What are the two functions of dendrites? The functions of dendrites are to receive signals from other neurons, to process these signals, and to transfer the information to the soma of the neuron. Okay, so again, our bodies remember. Simply put, our bodies remember and records everything that it is experiencing. So even when we're checking out, right, we may have had a bad experience in a narcissist relationship, but our bodies remember it. So consciously, we're checking that out. We're blotting that out. Some people go into cognitive dissonance. They may be. What did Ellie say? They are getting on my dendrites. Yeah, I like that. Getting on. You know what? I'm gonna start using that one, Ellie. They're getting on my dendrites. But see, this is what the okay. I'm gonna keep this thought right here. Let me go ahead and continue real quick. All right. In denial of the relationship or the condition of the relationship with the narcissist, for instance. But see, due to dendrites, right, or because of dendrites, what do? They receive signals from other neurons to process these signals and to transfer the information to the soma of the neuron. Again, things are being recorded. Signals are being received. Signals are being sent out. That's really what I want to point out. When we're having narcissist relationships, signals are not only being received, but they're being sent out. Information is being received and shared and sent out. When we're having relationships with narcissists, sometimes these mixed messages happen, which can cause confusion, which can cause people to start to doubt not only their sanity, but where they stand with the narcissist, if they stand at all, right? A lot of confusing things are happening. So this leaves people feeling quite, depressed, upset, angry. Sometimes a person may get angry and they're not even certain why or where it's coming from. This is why I want you guys to look at neural pathways, because I really do think this is one of the reasons why people stay stuck in these narcissist relationships. And not only that, but if they're not seeking out the narcissist relationship unconsciously, that is because they're familiar with it, but also because they may be attracting it unconsciously. Some of you may have asked the question, why am I attracting narcissists? If it's not at work, it's at home. Or maybe it's at work and at home. You just seem to be a narcissist magnet. Again, neural pathways. If you rewire, right? If you rewire that, you may start to see some changes there, right? So it's about how you think of the narcissist relationship, not what you think of it. Okay, guys, the one of the points I wanted to make here is when we say they're getting on my damn nerves or they're getting on my nerves, that's more true than we think, right? They say truth is stranger than fiction. But anyway, I'm still laughing at what Ellie said. They're getting on my dendrites. Anyway, yeah. When our bodies record everything that we experience, right? When we are having relationships with narcissistic moms, I mean, it's almost like this goes double. Because when she says something and it turns out to be falsehood later, like for instance, she has false masks, right? She wants to make sure that those false masks are on at every given moment. They can't crack, they can't break, they can't split, they can't fall. Okay, she would even shape shifts. Sometimes she would use that tactic in order to keep the mask applied. But here's the thing about those mixed signals, right? Then that means that we cannot trust mom. See, when it comes down to interacting with mom, she's not emotionally safe. And this is not to, suggest to demonize mom. It just means that this is why sometimes we feel very upset, even when we get a phone call from mom. We don't even have to be physically in her presence because of all those signals that we have been receiving growing up, right? Even when we were adults, well, early adults, younger adults, even adolescent stage, when mom continues to send out mixed signals, and then we find out that she has told a couple of fibs, right? Or a lot of fibs. So a lot of falsehood. This adds up to not being able to emotionally find mom safe. Therefore, our bodies are recording that. And that's the message that's in the mind. Okay, not so much the brain, but the mind. I didn't mean to, I hope I'm not missing you all when I said that. It's not so much in the brain, it's in the mind. Those signals, right? The message is, wow, I want to trust mom. This is my mom. I love her. I care for her and I want to please her, but I can't trust her, right? It's like, that's where some of the damage comes in, the emotional damage. And sometimes it takes a long time to recover from that. But this is why it's also important to attempt to rewire the brain, or at least have a new program, whereas we can start to realize that we can have positive relationships. If not with mom, then other people. You ever wonder why those bad relationships with moms, tend to spill over in relationships with other people? Well, for one thing, because, that's mom. She carried us in her womb for for 9 months, or for some of us 10 months. But there's a real connection right there. But it's such a deep pain when we find out that mom is not emotionally safe. But yet the crazy making and the mixed signals, right, also makes it painful, because it's like, okay, on one hand I want to trust mom and everything, I love her, I care about her, but on the other hand, I can't trust mom. She's not emotionally safe. And there's a lot of drama going on. There's a lot of tension, right? So sometimes when we say they're getting on my nerves, that's more true than we think, because our bodies record everything. It's almost like an imprint of every experience that we have. So even when we try to forget by drinking or eating too much or jumping into another relationship or, sex or whatever, right? Our bodies remember. So it's like we can't quite, forget it. So it just comes out in other ways. I don't know. Have you guys ever experienced that, at all? Not just with mom, but with any relationship. Have you ever experienced whereas on one hand, the person, you love and you care about the person, but on the other, you just knew they weren't emotionally safe? I know I have. I've experienced that. So, let me go up here. I saw somebody made a comment that caught my eye. I'm glad you guys are here and you are participating in the chat. This is great. Envy said children don't need mixed signals. Right. So that was it. Because when children grow up and they become adults, see, they find out that they cannot trust mom. And even if it's a narcissistic dad, they find out that they can't trust them because they're not emotionally safe. So the mixed signals is part of the crazy making. And then this spills over to other relationships with other people. And then sometimes people build up this wall. And it gets to the point whereas they may meet somebody, and this is just not romantically, but they may meet somebody, like say a friend or even somebody they may work with, and this person really is trustworthy. But guess what? It's going to be hard to trust a person who is even proven to be trustworthy because of the experience with narcissistic mom. Let's see. Ellie says, yes, they knew they were unsafe. Let me see. Okay. Okay. I was trying to see. Did you have something else, Ellie? When I see something? Yes, they knew they were unsafe, but I can't see that. That was it. Okay. They do fake safe. Yeah. It's hard to trust them sometimes. Narcissistic moms, when they start to, especially when they start to smear campaign and they're setting up the, their daughter who has a complex to please her, setting her up to perhaps convince other people in the family and even in the community not to trust. That is very interesting. The narcissistic mom often starts to smear campaign, and this often sets her daughter up for other people not liking her or trusting her or loving her or liking her, because narcissistic mom has created this false narrative that says my daughter is not good enough. She's not lovable. She's a problem. Because narcissistic mom often looks at herself as a victim who can't seem to catch a break, or she's a victim of circumstance, right? So she may try to convince others that her daughter is unsafe. She's untrustworthy. She's not loving. She's not caring. She's not worth the time to try to know. I don't know if any of this is sounding familiar for any of you, but I know that when it comes down to having relationships with moms, sometimes we may go through this briefly. Mom may say something and she may try to convince someone else in the family and beyond that we are a problem for her. We're a burden. Even if we're not doing anything wrong, we may be obedient. We may be trying to please her, but yet it's just not good enough. So Susan Ralph says, welcome, Susan, to the live stream. Okay. To find out the ones that destroyed your boundary and also scared your friends away, so you have no strength. This is the devil, big or small. Wow. Wow. Yeah. Yep. It can cause problems. See, the daughter who has this type of complex, or have the complex, the good daughter complex, right? Pardon me. When she has that type of complex, it spills over to her other relationships. She's a people pleaser. And then if she finds a romantic, if she finds someone to become romantically involved with, she's often the one who's giving in the relationship the most. Okay, she's trying to please. Yeah. Sons too. Sons who have narcissistic moms. I did a few videos about that too. And when it comes down to the sons having, but I really want to stay focused on the daughters today, but when the sons have a narcissistic mom, very often what is also interesting to me is how narcissistic mom tends to favor her sons, yet she give her daughters the hardest time. I don't know what that is. It may be because narcissistic moms like the attention from her son, who is a male, right? Not really focusing on just because of his gender, but maybe she had a problem with her father. She has father issues. She has maybe she did have a closely knit relationship with her father, but maybe her son, she's looking at her son to fulfill that. And maybe she's not romantically involved with anyone. The helmet laws for bikes, well, the society now bikes are blocking the freedom convoy as they do the imps. Okay, guys, let's see, just checking. And thank all of you for your comments and everything, right? All right, so let's get back to this. Okay. And it ties into this as well. There was something else I wanted to show you guys. Okay, neural pathways. How does the neural pathway work? Neural pathways comprised of neurons connected by dendrites are created in the brain based on our habits and behaviors. Okay, so dendrites are created in the brain based on our habits and behaviors. So again, when we are familiar with narcissist relationships, we are formulating habits. I have 2 books out right now, How to Break Free from Narcissist Relationships. And I go into detail about how we are familiar with narcissist relationships, right? And because we are familiar with it, this means we have formulated a habit of having those relationships. Because once a person starts to see how they're thinking about the narcissist relationship, right? Instead of what they're thinking, how they're thinking of it, they can start to make some changes. They can start to incorporate tools or focus tools that will help them to continue to thrive forward. Why? Because they're not thinking about the narcissism much. When they're not focused on them as much, they're able to move on in life and do other things instead of trying to please the narcissist every waking moment, instead of having every waking moment trying to please the narcissist and trying to figure out how to stop feeling guilty or feeling guilty. See, the neural pathways, again, when it's tied to the narcissistic mom, a person, for instance, can continue to have a narcissist relationship with their mom, who may have a narcissist personality or a cluster B personality, having narcissistic traits that are maligning. Not everyone who has a cluster B personality type has this issue, right? So I'm not talking about those individuals. But the neural pathways is something I want you guys to look at, okay? Because this has a lot to do with how our bodies record and how we're receiving signals and giving out signals, and the communication, the whole nine. I mean, communication, the way that we're thinking about the relationship, that goes into how we perceive the relationship, how we're looking at it, what we're thinking about it, how we're thinking about all of it, but really mainly how we're thinking about the relationship. Not just what you think, how do you think? Your thought patterns, for instance, that's how you think. How do you think about the narcissist relationship? What are your thought patterns? Do you start blaming yourself, for instance? When you picture your narcissistic mom, for instance, is she bigger than life? A lot of us, yeah, our moms are like God, especially when we're little, right? Our moms are like, our moms and dads, they're like God, right? So at the age of 25 and up, are you still picturing your mom? Like, when you think of your mom, is she actually bigger than you? Not just, I'm not talking about just her being older than you. No, is she literally bigger than you? In other words, do you think you're very, very, very small compared to your mom? In other words, you don't have a voice. You don't have an identity. You don't know how to make choices in life without consulting your mom or the narcissist, for that matter. Let's just say it's another relationship. It could be a spouse. It could be your father. It could be grandparents. Whomever the narcissist may be in your life. Just, this is what I'm talking about, I'm breaking down how you think of them. How do you think of the narcissist relationship? What are your thought patterns? Do you start to blame yourself for stuff that happens? They're pulling shenanigans, but you're blaming yourself. Are you feeling guilty when you start doing something that's good for yourself, and the narcissist may start to put you down for that? It's how you think, not what you think. So when you're starting to picture the narcissist in your mind, for instance, and you're blowing them up bigger than life, and you look like a little speck of a mark next to them, well, that's how you're thinking of the narcissist relationship. It's not what you think, it's how you're thinking of it. The thought patterns, that is. The thought patterns. Do start to, and then do you start to feel badly? Because when you're having that term they call stinking thinking, or that expression, stinking thinking, that's what it means. You're thinking a certain way, so you're starting to feel a certain way. See? So when you start looking at the neural pathways and how it's connected to the narcissistic mom, that's going to start to make sense to you. Why is it that even when you're on the phone with her, you don't even have to be in her presence, but just on the phone, how come you feel so badly? You know what, Susan? That's a great comment you're making. Everybody has great comments, but that thing that you said about arrested development here, what's ironic to me is when the good daughter, right, had the daughter has the good daughter complex, right? It's amazing how she is placed under arrested development just from trying to please narcissistic mom. See, narcissistic mom is under arrested development, yet she's placing her daughter under arrested development also. But then it gets deeper. I don't know if you guys see this, but it goes deeper, because then the daughter is trapped in that relationship. The neural pathways can keep her stuck and trapped in a narcissistic relationship with her own mom. It's deep. After that phone call, it's not just because she may be insulting you or putting you down. It could be something else. It's the tone of her voice when she's putting you down. All that has to do with neural pathways. And when she is saying certain things to you, not just the tone, but what she's saying. Is she repeating certain things to you that, for instance, you can go way back to when you were a little girl or a little boy. She used to say that same thing to you when you were 5. Now you may be 30, and she say that same thing in the same tone, and it makes you feel the same way when you were 5. This is why I want you guys to start looking at the neural pathways, because it really can keep people stuck in bad relationships with anyone. When the neural pathways are rewired, then things can start to change. Okay. And of course, some people, they may say, that doesn't work. I'm not going to try it. Okay. That's okay. But I say don't knock it until you try it. Here's another question here. I wanted to share this with you guys. Can you change your brain after 25? Once we reach adulthood at around 25, our brains stop naturally forming, and new neural pathways and our habits, biases, and attitudes become more set in stone and much harder to change. Nevertheless, it isn't impossible to train our brains to changing later in life and throughout adulthood. So yes, it does start in the mind, not the behind. A lot of you guys have heard me say that. So yeah, you can rewire your brain. Here it is. Can you change your brain? Okay. Neuroplasticity is the mind's ability to change the brain, right? So when you change your mind, you change your brain. This is great news for most of us. Sending mixed signals. Narcissistic mothers' communication styles. This is one of the things that narcissists like to do. They like to stir the pot to try to get you to react instead of respond, because they get supply from that. So when it comes to communication and the lack thereof, narcissists are notorious for not communicating very well in all of their relationships.
and they do this seemingly on purpose. But effective communication is when you are fully present in the conversation. No matter how many people there are, you're fully present, you're engaged, if someone asks you a question, even if you don't know the answer, you'll say, okay, well, I don't know. Or if you know the answer, of course, you're going to answer it. Now, you're also flipping that around. If somebody says something and you don't quite understand, you'll ask the question because you want to understand where they're coming from. Effective communication, one of the purposes of that is not only to strengthen a relationship, but to make sure that everybody is on the same page. Not necessarily agreeing with one another to be on the same page. I hope that makes sense. In other words, somebody can have a different point of view and you're okay with it. You're still on the same page. They just have they have a different point of view than you do. The fact that you're on the same page means that you agree to disagree. That's what being on the same page is about. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have the same point of view as someone else just because you're on the same page. Okay? I hope that makes sense. It took me a little while to practice that, but as soon as I was okay with various points of views that weren't, the same point of view that I had, I was cool with that. I'm like, okay, that person has every right to see it how they do, and I have every right to see it as I do. However,
Hey guys, how many of you have ever had an argument with your mom or really anyone for that matter, whereas you were triggered because you noticed that they were not only were they not listening to you, but they didn't respect or accept that you had a different point of view? Okay, how many of you just put a 1 in the comment if you have ever had someone just totally dismiss you because you had a different point of view. Put a 1 in the comment section. And just, you can include, if this is a family member, if you want. Because I'm going to point something out here in a minute. Okay, so Susan says, okay, has 1. Anybody else? Okay, guys, so everybody, so Susan is the only person that has had somebody totally dismiss her because she had a different point of view. Everybody else, nobody has. We attract the molders. What does that mean? Okay, we attract the molders. Explain, Susan, or elaborate. Andrea says 1. Ellie says 1. Bless 100 says 1. Welcome, Bless 100. The hell, hold it. I don't know what that is. Okay. People don't believe in that block party. They don't believe in it, but I does believe in it. I does. Okay? All right. Susan says they want to mold us into their way. We seem to be the ones that attract that kind. Okay. Right. Okay. And the point that I want to make here is that when the daughter the daughter who has the complex, right, to please her narcissistic mom, this is one of the ways that she is shaped and molded. Okay, she's being trained, she's being groomed to be a person who doesn't speak up. Okay, did y'all get that, right? She's not speaking up for herself. She drowns or she fades into the background. So when narcissistic mom and her daughter has a disagreement, one of the things, see, this is just often unsaid, but it's very subtle. The narcissistic moms, one of her mixed signals is that good daughter, no matter how obedient she is, no matter how loving she is towards mom, she's not good enough, even to be heard. Her voice is not good enough. So when the daughter grows up, right, and she's having other relationships with other people, she will often be the person that fades in the background. She becomes a person that does not have not only an identity, but a voice. She doesn't have a voice. So that's my point there. That's why I asked y'all that question, because narcissistic moms, they often teach their daughters not to have a voice. So if she has a disagreement with someone, like say her lover, her husband, her partner, even her own children, right? If she has a different point of view, she won't have the confidence to speak up because narcissistic mom taught her to keep her damn mouth shut. Okay? So this is what I wanted to point out. And this is a very subtle grooming process that goes on between narcissistic mom and her daughters. Susan says, exactly. Ellie Wynn says, gaslighters do this. Right. Susan says, no respect. Exactly. Blessed 100 says, okay. Yeah, thank you. Welcome to the stream. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Envy says, they know that we show love and they see it. Right. Right. But I wanted to point that out because that's a very subtle thing that happens. And it's amazing how a lot of daughters who have the complex to please mom, to please narcissistic mom, they don't even notice this even when they're adults because they become so accustomed to, to that type of interchange with their mom. Yeah.
Now we'll get into the good part. That was point number one, what effective communication is. Point number two, when it comes to narcissists, they tend to do the opposite. They don't see anyone else's point of view. You know why? Because they don't want to. They don't want to, because what they say is law, what they say is gospel, and let's face it, they're God. Okay, according to the narcissist, they're God. In their mind and their perception of themselves is that there's everyone else down here and who's inferior, and they are superior. Okay, now narcissists, they don't tend to see anyone else's point of view in a conversation. Not only that, they're not fully present in the conversation. They're not very interested in who you are, what you think, and how you live and how you feel. They don't really care about that, right? They're not interested in connecting with you on a verbal level or an emotional level. They're not interested even on a spiritual level to feel you and vibe with you. Narcissists don't do that. They're not interested in intimacy or the connection. So effective communication, you have to have that in order to have intimacy. You have to have that in order for there to be a connection. However, narcissists, they go against that. Anything that would have very little to no communication is very good for the narcissist. They are not interested in connecting with anyone. So if you communicate effectively, what does that involve? That also involves you opening yourself up, not only to know others, but to be known. That's something that terrifies narcissists. They don't want to be known. They don't want to be found out. all the BS that they dish out. They don't want you to know about that. You feel it and you know something's not quite right in the relationship. However, the narcissist does not want you to find out how false they really are. They're not trying to have you find out, who they really are and what they're about, because they'll blow their cover. Anyway, point number 3. Narcissists, when it comes to communication, how do they usually do it? There's a lot of sarcasm, and they usually tend to cut people off in mid-sentence sometimes. You can be speaking and they will cut you right off. And this is also something that narcissists are notorious for. They don't let you finish your sentences. If you have a thought and you want to express it, the narcissist is going to see to it that you're going to be interrupted. They will speak over you, they will talk over top of you, and they will raise their voices, and there's tending to be a lot of sarcasm in their language. Narcissists are notorious for this.
Okay, guys. We've been here for about an hour now, and let's see. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. All right. I'm really glad that you guys are here, and there's going to be another live stream coming up on tomorrow. Maybe some of you have already seen the post, but I think this mother-daughter thing is something to talk about, because right now there are a lot of testimonies out there. I mean, there's been a lot of testimonies out there, but right now we have a lot of people who are becoming more vocal, okay, about the mother-daughter relationship in particular. And I'm saying that because, yeah, number one, there are more people talking about it. Number two, because right now there are more women who are waking up to who they really are. So, of course, when a woman does this, she cannot do that without realizing the relationship she had with mom. Right? So, I'm saying all that to say that I really want you guys to take care of yourself and realize that you are somebody who is, okay, you count. You're special. And perhaps your mom or your grandmother or your auntie or someone in your family tried to gaslight you into believing otherwise, that you don't count, you don't have a voice, you don't have an identity. All right, but that's not true. Just look at all the things you've gone through. Just look at how you've overcome. Just look at how far you've come. Just look at all the things that you have accomplished and achieved. Because sometimes I have to remind myself. I have to remind myself about that sometimes, right? So a lot of women right now all over the planet, they are waking up. They're waking up to who they really are. And some people have realized that, okay, they didn't have the best of relationships with their mom or their mothers. But they're learning how not to belittle themselves. They're learning how to count, starting with the self. Okay? So some of you are moms. Some of you are grandmothers. I don't know. Some of you are aunties, and, some of you have partners, and some of you may be expecting, or someone who is, someone else in your family may be expecting, someone else in your family may be looking up to you as a mentor or a big sister or the mom they never had. I want you to celebrate the mom in yourself. Now, at the risk of sounding like I'm just giving a speech here, I'm speaking from experience. There have been times that I had to go inside and realize that I count too. I have a voice as well. And I have an identity. Some people have to start over. It sounds scary, but some people do. They have to start all over again because they were taught that they were nothing. Some people will tell you they came from nothing. But when you go inside and you find out that you are much more than what a narcissist told you you were, it should be a game changer. I hope it is. But a narcissist, it's almost like whether that narcissist come in the form of a mother, a father, a grandparent, husband, wife, children, well, I'm going to say adult children. No matter what shape or form the narcissist comes in, I want to leave you guys with this. They're a person who has false self. So the only thing they're going to be able to do is to tell you who you are not, right? In other words, they create a false self. So they're going to create a false image of you. Just think about that for a minute. Narcissists they have several false images. And all of them have a mask assigned to it. So when it comes down to narcissistic mom, she applies that mask just like her cosmetics, with poise, methodically. It has to be polished. It has to be snatched. It has to be perfect. It cannot crack. It cannot slip off easily. That mask must be affixed to perfection. And ironically, she wants her daughter to be perfect also. She wants her world to be perfect. Unfortunately, the narcissistic mom, she lives in a world where it's lies. She's living a lie. And she is creating a false image of her daughter. It's a false image. She has false self-images. Therefore, she's going to create false images of everyone that she deals with. So unfortunately for the daughter, due to the mother's false narratives, right, is not reflective of reality. The daughter has a complex. She's trying to please mom. And unfortunately, it's hurting her. But those false narratives that the narcissistic mom sticks to only suits narcissistic mom. And it hurts everyone else, especially the daughter who has this complex to please mom. So I want you guys to, just think about that. A narcissist, who are they to tell you who you are? They can't tell you who you are. They have false self. So how can they tell you the truth about who you are? They're going to tell you a lie. They're going to tell you you're nobody. You're nothing. You can't go anywhere. You can't do this. You can't do that. You won't be loved. If you try this or try that, you're going to fail. Think about it. The narcissist almost has this energy and spirit that has a sole mission to make sure you never wake up to who you really are. So guys, I just want to leave you with that. And I want to thank everyone for joining me today, tonight, wherever you may be. I want you to continue to take care of yourself, continue to thrive forward. Now, usually I will share some tools with you, but you guys, I started the tools out at the beginning of the live stream. But I mentioned about the healthy lifestyle, because what I found was after I started eating a little bit, I'm not telling you guys what to eat, but I'm just letting you know that from my experience, I found out when I incorporated a healthier lifestyle, I took care of myself a lot better. Whereas making decisions, right? Making decisions and also making sure that my overall well-being was just on point, because the narcissist is going to make sure that there's a lot of drama in that relationship, right? So just remember that food is mood. When you eat something that's healthy, you're going to not only become healthier, but you're going to feel healthier. You're going to look healthier. Everything is just going to be, more positive for you. But when you think about narcissistic mom and all of the rounds that a person will go through, all the fights and the arguments, that stuff weighs on the heart, the mind, the body, the spirit. You got to be in tip-top shape. You got to be on your P's and Q's sometimes just to deal with narc mom. Just think about it. Yeah. So I just want to leave you guys with that. And I certainly hope that you're going to join me for the next live stream. Tomorrow, I think I have it scheduled for 12 noon. But yeah, you guys take care of yourself. And don't forget, we have merch. Got new merch for you. Got the ebooks and the podcast. I have those up weekly. Certainly hope you guys have been joining me there. But if you haven't been listening to the podcast, oh my gosh, y'all been missing out on a lot. And I wouldn't want you to miss that. So join me on the podcast, and of course visit my website where you can find more content. And stay tuned, okay? I think I also have in the description box for you guys the link for new merch. I think I have that for you. Okay? All right. So let me go ahead and just go over the comments here before we sign off. Let's see. Shadow the narc mirror with beauty. I like that. All right. Envy says the podcast. Yep, we have the podcast. Envy says thanks again. Yes. Let's see. Ellie Wynn says, okay, she's agreeing with Susan. They even tried to steal your shine. Yeah, of course. Luminous stars. No matter how dark it gets, that's an opportunity for you to continue to keep your shine or get your glow on all day long. Yeah, it's amazing how narcissists, it's almost like they live to see how they can break a person. Very, very interesting. I remember one relationship I had with a person who had a cluster B personality, and I knew that they were prone to violence. And I don't know if that was a moment of stupidity I had to confront them, or a moment of bravery, just being bravery at that time. But yeah, that person was known. And the thing about it is I've even seen that person put their hands on someone, actually several people. So I knew they were prone to violence. So I just had a moment there, but I just got tired of their their drama. Okay, guys, but I want to leave you with that. Remember, make sure you take care of yourself and your loved ones. All right, until next time, take care. Mwah, mwah, mwah. All right.